The entire world has come together to condemn this heinous attack on the tourists in Pahalgam. Be it US President Donald Trump or the Russian President Vladimir Putin, along with the entire Europe, everyone has condemned this attack on the innocent people in Pahalgam. In fact, this attack, this Pahalgam terror attack, it also raises some very, very serious questions. Now, what are those questions? Number one, what's expected from key security meeting that is taking place at the moment? How will India now respond to this heinous attack? How will the intel gaps be addressed? That is also something very, very important to be addressed here. Will the world isolate Pakistan? To find the answers to all these questions, I'm currently joined by Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, the former Consul General to Karachi in Pakistan. I also have Major General Sudhakar ji, VSM retired, former Indian Army General. He has served in counter-terrorism operations in Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir from 2006 to 2008. I also have Daniel Markey, Senior Advisor, South Asia, USIP, and also a Senior Fellow. Let me start by asking you, General Sudhakar, how do you see this, despite decades of conflict in the region, there has always been this unwritten rule that tourists, they would not be targeted. How does this particular attack change our understanding of these attacks?
Osama, thank you for getting me to your show. Good evening, and my compliments to very distinguished co-panelists. And Daniel Markey, I've read his book, No Exit from Pakistan. I'm a great admirer of his writings. Now, about this genocidal killing, no doubt that it's a thing should not be suffered in silence. There should be calibrated retribution, and in doing so, we have to see the context in which this incident or this particular perpetration of terrorist act has taken place.
Yeah.
We need to carry out an assessment based on tangible inputs, tangible evidences, come to a conclusion, don't act in haste, no impulsive action. But having said this, please allow me, Osama, to dilate the issue, to take our viewers' mind back to why a thing like this has happened, what has happened. Take your mind back to 5th of August 2019, abrogation of Article 370, 35 Alpha. 9th of August, Mr. Qureshi, Foreign Minister of Pakistan, air dashes to China, has important meeting with top leaders. They formulate a counter strategy to put or keep India under check. Consequent to that, commences the process of revival of proxy war south of Pir Panjal ranges, from Poonch to Rajouri to Kathua and those like places, Riyasi, goes on towards Doda, Kishtwar, and thereafter into the valley floor. And also, by about 20th or 15th of June 2020, amidst the pandemic, we have the Galwan incident, extended standoff, troops get pulled out, and the insurgency or terrorism picks up momentum, where it had actually remained dormant for nearly 14 to 16 years because of no terrorism being there in the south of Pir Panjal ranges. So this is a dimension which is to be kept in mind. Also alongside, China went in for extended standoff, also went in for border laws, new border villages, and host of other activities. Also, Bangladesh thing was opened up, while US was pulling back in a hasty manner, in a non-superpower-like manner on sometime in August 2021. So what was happening was, look at Syria, there is a legitimization of the non-state actors in the global order today. And look at Bangladesh. While bringing up this point, I would quickly respond to your question by saying, not to be impulsive, take a calibrated option. In the calibrated option, see what all we targeted in Balakot, consequent to the Pulwama incident, or prior to Pulwama was Uri attack. Now, the thresholds have gone up.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel that we need to escalate the target selection My point of view is that where the tap is actually bleeding with terrors coming down, flowing down, if the tap is actually overflooding India with terrors, that tap is to be closed as soon as possible.
Absolutely, and in fact, that also points a big finger towards Pakistan. What
Yes.
about Pakistan? I want to get a response from Ambassador Dogra there. The most obvious response, Ambassador Dogra, should be that the world isolates Pakistan. But the question is, will the world isolate Pakistan?
Well, why are we dependent on the world? World has also already expressed its sorrow, its horror at what has happened. But the action has to be India's. And the first thing that we must do as a country is to assess Pakistan's game plan. Does it finish here? Or do they have some other nefarious activities in mind? The other thing is that unlike civilized behavior, even in a war like Ukraine, where neither Russia nor Ukraine have targeted civilians, Pakistan has a consistent record of indulging in terror attacks against civilians in India. Vaishno Devi, the two horrible Bombay attacks, they were all against civilians. So Pakistan does not go by civilized rules. That is why I'm emphasizing again and again that, look, before we take any step, look and examine closely what Pakistan has in mind. Because what Army Chief of Pakistan said a couple of days back was unprecedented.
Absolutely.
Talking against Hindus, talking about, and that is why they singled out Hindus.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the most horrible things you can hear of and imagine in front of children and ladies. So that is point number one. Second, the world moves on. By tomorrow, they would have moved on to another topic. So it is our problem. There will be sympathy from some countries in the world. There will probably be also some kind of intelligence sharing. But beyond that, it is for India to sort out the perpetrators of terror in Pakistan. And as you very rightly said initially, that it is the masterminds who have to be tackled.
All right. What should be India's response? Daniel Markey, this is to you. How do you think India will respond, and what should be India's response here now?
Look, I think we've seen versions of this happen before. And the problem is that there are no easy military solutions to the threat that India faces from Pakistan. I agree with the point that this looks a lot like the 2019 episode. And unfortunately, what we've seen is that even when India strikes back, even when India escalates, even when India makes attacks on Pakistani territory, the problem is it doesn't resolve the underlying question of defending India's borders. India has done more to do that, and India has tried to firm up its security in Kashmir in a variety of ways, and yet we still get attacks like this. So I think the fundamental conundrum facing India is, will a punitive action now convince Pakistan's decision makers that they need to back off? And I think that, unfortunately, that's an open question. And I don't think that there's any amount of intelligence gathering about Pakistan at this moment that will lead to a firm answer. Is the Pakistani military interested in escalating this violence? Was this attack perpetrated at the time of Vice President Vance's visit intentionally to bring global attention, greater global attention, and especially Washington's attention to the issue? So many questions that I think will be unanswered. And so the problem facing India is, in light of that uncertainty, can it do more? And I'm afraid I don't know. And I don't think that India's leaders will know either.
Absolutely. There are many unanswered questions, including what role should diplomatic pressure play right now in addressing state-sponsored terrorism if Pakistan's involvement is confirmed. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being a part of this discussion. We'll slip into a very short break. More on the other side.
की